Two worlds collide. Two rival regions. It's us against them. It's you versus him. It's one versus one. With the hope of the world comes the weight of expectation. A true battle of strength. The time is here. The time is now. A new age is upon us.
Since the beginning of StarCraft 2, every single final has looked Korea versus Korea. However, today, things have been shaken up. We have Korea going up against Finland as our two players go head-to-head with one another in a best-of-7. One of our players has a date with destiny, and one of these players will end up on the Hall of Fame right over there, past that crowd, as they crown themselves a champion. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Analysis Concave, as I have to my right-hand side, Pig in control and Rotterdam. Guys, it couldn't have gone any better. Stats versus Serral is our grand final. They played a few months ago. That's in the history books. Serral was victorious there. Pig, this is going to be quite the final.
I mean, it's been the thing we've been seeing build up over this year is Serral and his legacy, right? We've seen him grow from a few years ago. The pro players were saying, this guy is dominating the European ladder. And we've seen him gain that experience. He's developed into such a strong player, and he's really just, somehow he seems unflappable up there. Every single series, we've been excited for players in the past, but they've often crumbled under pressure. They've often come to these tense moments and fallen apart, but Serral is just, he's a steam train right now, and we're getting this amazing rematch of that grand finals at GSL vs. the World. We just saw some clips of it. This is the dream come true.
Jeff?
In StarCraft, look, we've been around a long time. We've really enjoyed this. There's been so many scenarios and times where we're like, wouldn't it be cool if, and what if this player takes us there? We've had people try. We've had our Stefanos, our Hux, Idra. We've had these heroes try in the past, but never have we ever had someone actually get to the precipice and look into that void and say, I can do it. And right now, it feels like it's that scarier feeling where Serral's the favorite, perhaps? I mean, he already beat him in another final.
Yep.
So it's like too good to be true. I'm waiting for something to scare the crap out of me, but we're right here. It could happen, and I cannot wait.
Esports history is something that we often throw around, right? Whenever something cool happens, it's like, we're making esports history, but if this is not historic, I mean, then I don't know what is. We've all been watching these games for the last 7, 8 years, and we've always, like Jeff said, we've dreamed of moments like this, and now it's not just somebody that squeezed into the finals, that had a little bit of luck with the brackets. No, Serral has just been dominating, not just this tournament, but throughout the entire year. I mean, this is so sick, James.
Let's talk about our first player coming into the grand final. Stats, the Protoss, the Shield of Ire, who has been able to dispatch every single problem along his way. And coming into this grand finals, I think it's fair that he has established himself on the top of the bracket throughout his group's Pig as the man to be able to challenge for his first World Championship.
You know, he's been almost so dominant that we haven't actually watched as many long games with him as we have with some of the other players. He's been crushing his way through this. Special looked so good in that TVP. He dropped only one map to him. He brought games back from the brink of defeat. He was down hugely in supply, and he's just been on fire. Stats has crushed that semi-final 3-0 as well. He almost hasn't even warmed up this entire tournament. He's just been crushing the opposition.
Talk to me about Stats's PVZ. Talk to me about how he dispatches of someone like Serral. I want to get down to the nitty-gritty of this. I don't want to talk about the roads here. I want to talk about how Stats beats Serral.
Well, we saw it back in that GSL versus the World, and it's funny to watch that in contrast to what Zest and SOS weren't able to do, right? Serral amazing defense. He does all the things really well, but I think what stylistically makes this so exciting is that Stats is the equal counterpart in defense. Any kind of aggression that's going to come out of Serral is going to be dangerous in that it could get completely stopped and wiped out and then turn on its face. And that's why this is such a great matchup, because we should see the full breadth of a PvZ. It's not going to be like a, well, Serral does timing attacks and that has to work, otherwise he loses. Both these players go into this with all the weapons in front of them.
And to that point, Rotterdam, 99.9% of the population of StarCraft pros out there never really want to take someone like Serral to the late game. I think Stats is one of the guys who happily would, and all the way through this grand final.
Yeah, when it comes to late game army control, I think there is no other Protoss out there. He's incredibly good in controlling multiple spellcasters at once, and at the same time transitioning on the right moment to the ultimate Protoss army, which of course consists of a lot of carriers. Now there are Zerg players, the moment 7 carriers are out, they're willing to give up. Serral's not one of them. Serral has shown us that he's capable of dealing with it, but Stats, if he gets there while being at least even, if not ahead, there's a very good chance that he can take that strong mid game to that late game of carriers and then potentially seal the deal.
Look for strong lurker play that we've been talking about it in ZVZ, and that's been something that Serral said once he gets there, he's unbeatable.
Yeah.
He was talking about ZVZ, but to get to carriers, you're going to have to survive Serral's mid game, which is that lurker time.
Well, let's talk about Serral now. Let's focus on him. We've seen it just before. The Finnish Phenom has been able to dispatch his opponents as well, handedly, in quick fashion. Again, we saw, even in just that last match, the best Zerg versus Zerg, in my mind, of all time. And Pig, coming into this grand final, he knows his ZVP is good.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool because we haven't seen that much Protoss vs Zerg from Stats. We haven't seen that much Zerg vs Protoss from Serral in this tournament, but we've seen so much in the months leading up to this. And Serral, he's the guy who is very hard to pin down and knock out of a series. We saw Stats so close the last time they played, and there were these sick, fancy maneuvers, sneaky charge-load Archon attacks, catching him off guard. But Serral has this magic skill to survive when he looks like he's lost. There's games where there are 20 zealots in his base, and he's fighting with workers and queens, and he somehow hangs on. And it's just this ability to survive these crazy assaults, which makes Serral very hard to finish off in a Protoss vs Zerg game.
I mean, I think if there is one thing that sets Serral truly apart from all the other Zerg players out there, is that he can get value of units that are considered useless in a certain point of the game.
Yeah.
A lot of Protoss builds will try to force out some of these basic Zerg units to slow down the economy. Then at one point, Zerg players feel like they're stuck with these inferior units, and they can't do much with it anymore. Serral is so good in finding value out of roaches in a game where you don't expect roaches to contribute much anymore. He is incredibly good at not throwing away everything at once, but slowly but steady, finding openings. He gets more value out of his basic Zerg units than any other Zerg out there. I think that's what makes him truly special.
Jeff, final thoughts.
Adaptability. Serral had weird stuff thrown on that hatch block maneuver by Rogue. I know it's a different matchup, but that's something we don't see almost ever. Serral made it look like it was something he's encountered a million times before, and that's what gives me great confidence going into this series, that whatever's thrown at him, he will have the answer. You got to outplay him to beat him.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. All notes out the window now. It is time here for our grand finals, our best of 7. BlizzCon, I want to hear you shake this place to the foundations as we get ready for the StarCraft WCS Global Finals.